Here we are again, Barn Fam, with yet another trying and buying horses video. This time due to incredibly unfortunate circumstances because of the very untimely end of my main competition horse, Monty's career, as he was in a bad trailering accident. Luckily he's okay, but unfortunately that means he won't be able to compete. So I am once again on the hunt for my dream show jumper. I've got a stable full of eventers and trail pros, but this time around, I'm on the lookout for that one special horse with the scope and spark to really shine in the jumpering. And of course, we'll still be doing some eventing because that's the heart of what I do here at the Cosmic Equestrian Center. So I've packed my riding boots, my wish list, and a little bit of patience. I've got a few leads on some amazing horses. Even with the budget in mind, I'm really hoping to find a horse that's already ready to compete or at least close to it. Without further ado, let the horse shopping adventures begin. Our first stop was the lovely New Hillcrest Riding School where I met Chester, a quarter horse gelding. I won't lie, the first thing I noticed was that flashy coat. He was not your average bay, that's for sure. I think we got a show name right there. They say he's been a lesson horse for years, doing all sorts of basic jumping and trail work. Kind of a seasoned schoolmaster type. Conformation wise, the only thing that caught my eye is he did just have the subtlest bit of sway back. Other than that, his kind eye definitely matched that old school lesson horse vibe. He stood perfectly still while I tightened the girth. Definitely a green flag. Starting our ride, his walk was relaxed, but I did notice he was a bit hollow in the back. On the flat, I noticed he was feeling very behind the leg. Kind of hard to get going at first. We did have those moments of roundness, but as you can see, he was pretty head high most of the time. I will say though, after we picked up the canter and he got a little bit more energized, the ride was totally different. I really appreciated how he started becoming very attentive to my every cue. He wouldn't just blow me off. That kind of honesty is really a rarity, I feel like, especially in lesson horses who often get dual with aids and, let's be honest, lazy over time. And then, just for fun, we put a little cross rail in the arena. He stepped over it almost casually, just no fuss. Then I trotted and cantered it a couple times, and he popped over each jump pretty easily. He wasn't flashy about it, but he was very safe and honest. No refusals, thank goodness at a crossrail level, and no drama. I think this is a horse who's done this many times, so it's almost mechanical for him. He's incredibly sweet. This horse is honest and reliable, but the question is, am I looking for another schoolmaster, or am I looking for a top competitor in the show jump arena? Next, we took a trip down to Steve's farm to try a young gelding named Jet. The ad listed him as a 6-year-old warm-blood gelding, started in second level dressage and doing up to meter jumps. When I arrived, I noticed he was already tacked up and a bit sweaty. After asking, the current owner said that they had lunged him just before me arriving. That raised my horse trainer alarm bells a little bit. I certainly prefer to tack the horse myself so I can just observe their behavior right from the get-go, but you know, it's not always for a malicious reason. I did notice he was a little lean, which maybe he needs to fill out a little bit more. Overall, he looked very athletic with the kind of build that could jump big jumps if he applies himself. On the flat, this young guy was full of life. At the walk and trot, he was eager, almost jigging a bit throughout our entire walk warm-up. You can tell he wanted to go. He did tend to rush forward in the trot when I asked him, which is kind of your classic green horse, let's go energy. In the canter, he felt super big and powerful, though a little bit unbalanced at first. He even tried to gallop out a few times. He's definitely a lot of horse to manage, and certainly lives up to his name. He did have a couple quirky moments though. In one instance, he spooked at just a tree rustling in the wind, which is fine, but then it set something off in his brain because after that, he started getting a lot more rushy and strong on me, even more so than he already was. He felt like he was fooling me where he wanted to go, but then he also started to frantically whinny. The owner did inform me that this young boy is just a tad bit herd-bound, and apparently his bestie had just walked by the arena, which unwound his brain a tad for the rest of the ride. He is a 6-year-old after all, so I guess you can't expect perfection. We slowly reeled our brain in again. I tried a few cross rails, some small verticals. You can tell he loves his job because his face lit up at the idea of jumping. He did keep adding extra strides before the fences, which cost a lot of chip-ins, and one of these jumps in particular resulted in a rail. He just touched it, but we definitely fell out of rhythm. After a few rounds though, I could feel that he's scopey and brave, just a bit unpolished. I definitely did not instantaneously click with this horse. Definitely made me curious as to how he would feel without a lunge prior to riding. He's a diamond in the rough, but I think I'd be the one doing the cutting and the polishing, and I don't know if I really want that in a horse right now. Great horse, just not finished yet. Course number 3 took us to Golden Leaf Stables. This destination led us to a 16-3 hand, 12-year-old bay warm blood gelding named Finley. The ad boasted a very impressive show record. He had wins in events like the Hollowoods Horse Trials and the Silverglade Derby. He is a bit above the budget, but with credentials like that, I was very curious. When I met Finley, he was even more stunning and even bigger in person. He was exactly the kind of build I am looking for in a jumping horse. And can we just appreciate that big blaze and 4 white socks? I mean, this guy's a pretty handsome fellow. As I groomed him, he stood perfectly calm, very unfazed by all the fuss, which is good because when I'm dealing with a horse this big, I want to make sure I can actually handle him on the ground. He was a bit offended when I tightened the girth, which could mean he's a bit girthy, or that there's something ouchy happening when I do that. Nonetheless, I hopped on and started warming up. He was incredibly balanced under saddle. His trot was powerful, his canter was bold and rhythmic. When I asked for collection, he gave it to me. In short, he felt like quite an elite athlete. After a great flat session, it was time to test Finley in the jump ring. The trainer set up a small course starting at about 1 meter, and he took each jump with such ease that I felt my own heart race while going around. Gradually, we raised the fences. He barely batted an eye at this change. His form was textbook. He had tons of scope. Even a tricky oxer and a big vertical in a bending line did not faze him. I mean, I really felt like I was on autopilot and could just enjoy the feeling of jumping. I just didn't want to stop jumping him, and by the time we were done, I was just grinning ear to ear. I mean, this boy was exactly the sort I dreamed about. Big, careful, and super responsive. Now, to be honest, at first I thought he was gonna be too much horse for me to handle with him being so big, but he's a heck of a lot easier to ride than some ponies even. I mean, he really took care of me. Now the other downside, he's definitely at the top of my budget. In fact, he breaks my budget a little bit. But hey, he seems like he's worth every penny to ride. He checks every box: scope, experience, brain. I won't lie, I am seriously considering stretching the budget for him. The 4th trial took us to the renowned Jorvik stables. There, I was meeting a flea-bitten gray mare called Darcy with the show name of Gray Sovereign, who was about 16 hands high and 10 years old. The ad said she had a strong show record, but took a break to foal last year actually, and now she's just getting back into work. I think she's a steal for something that is nearly show ready. And look at that, as I approached, she immediately whinnied to me, which just made my heart so full. She had the sweetest face and the calmest demeanor. I could tell she has been very well loved and handled her entire life. I groomed her under that lovely warm sun, and she practically melted under the brushes. We love a horse that can appreciate a good spa day, and seeing as she's gray, I find that very helpful. She's a wonderfully balanced horse. Only con for me, other than just needing a little bit of a tune-up fitness-wise, is that she's a gray. I mean, I've always promised myself I would never get a gray because, fun fact, grays are incredibly hard to keep clean. But you can't judge a horse by its color, and I was super keen to try her out. Under saddle, she was honest as they come. No spooky stuff or funny antics. Her walk was very relaxed. Her trot had this lovely swing to it. In canter, she did need a second to pick up the right lead. I mean, she's a little rusty, but once she did, she was very balanced. And she stayed round and attentive. It seemed like she had a lifetime of training under her, which really impressed me because the trainer had said that they had been slowly bringing her back into work just over these past few months. She kind of reminded me of that old saying, you can't teach a good horse because they teach you. For jumping, I took it easy since she was still just getting back into shape after foaling. We did a bunch of different exercises, some bounces, grid work. We started with some small verticals, some little cross rails. She hopped over those with ease, and then I set out a small course, and she seemed to remember everything perfectly. I mean, she floated through every line with this really lovely adjustable stride. You could tell this girl wanted to show off a little. I didn't even have to help much. She read my aids beautifully. Riding her felt like a privilege. Darcy was just so kind and very capable. She still has that competitive sparkle in her eye. She might just need a tune-up, but she's absolutely one I'm gonna have to watch. And by the end of riding this gray, I was completely smitten. Darcy's kind of exactly actually the partner I want. She's sweet and seasoned with a very nice jump on her. Once I get her back into shape, I think she could definitely be a winner out there. And finally, we arrived at Marley's farm for the final listing. Now, bear with me here. When I came across the ad, it said I would be trialing this lovely 15-1 Appaloosa quarter horse cross, so you can imagine my surprise when I came out to the farm and had to do a double take because what I found was not quite a horse at all. It was a mule. I would guess at most 14'2" hand mule with these big donkey ears. It did not take me long to realize what that quarter horse was crossed with. Yeah, a donkey. In hindsight, the ad did feel a little misleading, not anywhere mentioning that it was a mule, but I think it's mainly on me for getting myself into that situation. How did I think this guy was just a regular quarter horse? I mean, those ears are his biggest tell. Now the ad saying that his show name was Not Your Average Jumper makes a whole lot more sense now. But you know what? I think mules are pretty darn cute, and I'd never personally ridden one before, so I decided to roll with it. I actually just took him for a stroll around bareback, and he was so short, I didn't even need a mounting block to get on him bareback. I took him for a walk around the paddock, and he was incredibly polite. When I attempted to trot him, he just kind of gave me this funny mule shuffle trot thing, but with a little bit of coaxing, we did end up getting a trot out of him. There wasn't any real jumping to do, so I just put a ground pole in front of us. He paused and then popped over. If that counts as a jump, he did it like a pro. He even let me canter briefly. A loping gait, very steady, very slow. Who knew my next Grand Prix jumper would be a mule? I mean, I definitely didn't. So I thanked Mr. Dewberry with a carrot for being so well behaved and putting up with my shenanigans. Riding him was a hoot, even if the ad was a little misleading. He might not be a top competitor, but it was a good reminder for me to enjoy the ride and not take life too seriously. Okay, back home, we tried 5 incredibly different prospects today, and now it is time for me to crunch the numbers, make a list of pros and cons, and decide who I will be taking home with me. I'm going to mule this one over with my trainer. Sorry, very bad pun, but first, I want to hear from you. Which horse do you think is going to be the best fit for me? Drop your picks in the comments. Subscribe to be a part of our awesome barn family. Until next time, I will see you guys for the reveal. I'm sorry, Monty. I'm just not paying enough attention to you. Let me fix that.